Continuation. It is 10 after 8 in the morning, West Coast time. Friday the 22nd of May, 2026. Diary of a Griever named John Weaver, which is me, continuing. On internet, there had been stories, there's been grievances, there's been grieving, and the tributes concerning about CBS Radio. But the local stations out here switched last night. This was supposed to have been the day for CBS Radio Network to do the ultimate sign-off, and yet the radio network that my local station out here, KNX 1070, works with, which is Audacity. They bought them several years ago, and Audacity decided to switch silently to the ABC network so they can keep up with national news for their radio audience. But anything concerning about the last days of CBS Radio, it's now silent in the LA market. It's silent, guys. It's silent. And this is kicking my ass. I'm going to reiterate it because I need something for my own records here. That on this day, on a Friday, the 22nd of May, 2026, the radio station of KNX 1070 no longer plays CBS Radio Network at all for its news. Today was supposed to be its last day, and Audacity, which owns KNX out here in the LA market, had decided to switch over silently to the ABC News Network. They'll be contributing to the national news that the KNX needs for its audience members. How am I feeling about this whole damn shit? I am bewildered. I'm bewildered. Corporates kill off legacies. Billionaires kill off legacies. They could have been supplying them from ends on, but it's not profitable. What was a long time ago now becomes a page in someone else's history book. Of 100 years of broadcasting on the old-fashioned radio waves, turned digital, now suddenly silent. Of history, of experiences, now the broadcasters have to find places to go, not to mention the studio personnel that runs the machines. And the machines will be taken out, sold off, and the buildings re-rented, somebody else to move in. Broadcast antennas, I don't know. I'm dealing with an age that bewilders me. And it's getting even worse. I'm really starting to feel like the old farts that I came across in my lifetime, of how they were trying to deal with all this fanciful technology that came out. The generation before me dealt with radios. They dealt with old-fashioned tubed televisions with a big-ass huge screen and a heavy thing to move around. And big, huge boxes that represented, or elongated boxes of a stereo that picked up radio waves with its own transmitters, but also plugged in and you could hear it through the airwaves of AM and FM. Where there was no such thing as satellite television, there was no such thing as cellular technology. But you would see it on the television, there'd be a small set or a big set of what news was supposed to be at the news hours. People rushed home to see what was going on in the rest of the world because it took that much time to get the information processed and put out there. But one could always listen to the radio programs because they would have the information a lot faster. You just wouldn't be able to see anything, but you'd hear it. You'd hear about what was happening in your neighborhood. You would hear what's happening in different neighborhoods around you. You would listen to life in a way. But this time, technology and greed and corporate. I coined a term a long time ago, corporateville, because I was getting pissed off with the corporations and stuff like that back in the late 80s. And I was trying to write something that would be a science fiction thing, but corporations run everything. They call it corporateville. The whole world's corporateville. And one guy controls it all. Controls all the governments. Bows down to this guy's will. Am I seeing it happen now? Am I honestly trying to see this being emerged? When everything we grew up with in the older ages, we made fun of. We wrote stories, wrote pictures, we talked about it. We just stuck our nose to the grindstone and worked our asses off. We didn't deal with all the computerized stuff because that's old government stuff. We dealt with surveillance. We dealt with cameras in different places. In Las Vegas, it was they were getting full of it because they were wanting to watch all the damn cheaters. And there have been some streets in your hometown that cameras would watch your ass, trying to catch someone in the act or something, but not surveillance for fun. And I'm trying to see just how all this is happening and why. They saw budding news concerning about technology emerging and how much it was going to affect everybody, good and bad. I look at the news stations, the local ones. Life goes on normal. They modify, they deal with technology, and they deal with it in their current generations and future generations. But the older farts, we knew better, didn't we? We were warned by the writers that we came across. Some of us grew up under not Irwin Allen, but Jules Verne. And what he was trying to show to the rest of the world. We grew up under Gothic tales of myth and monsters. And I'm not talking about the ancient Greek stuff. That you would have been coming across in the schools if they were actually teaching it. No. We were taught about the monsters of technology. We were supposed to be told it was going to be helping our lives get better. Yeah, with a horseless carriage with a gas pumping out so much fumes out of the damn thing, we get smog alerts. I grew up under smog alert. I grew up under probably a level 2 smog alert. Yeah, different levels. Level 1 was clean enough air that you can actually breathe and play in. 2 was a bit hazardous. Took them long to get those classifications because of what the air was like. Hard to breathe when you're playing in thick air, thick ozone, stench of fumes and everything else around you. No wonder I had lung problems. Yeah, but still. Plain water is also a problem. We didn't have EPA because we needed somebody to start up the EPA. of what biological hazards were giving to us, what chemological nightmares we were creating. But we all had to be aware about the nuclear nightmares. The Cold War was going to be scaring the crap out of us, where we had to dig tunnels to hide in, barricade ourselves for maybe a week or two, life support, before we get out and discover the world's still radioactive and we're dead. Yeah. Comedies were made about that one back in the 80s and 90s, if I'm not mistaken, of one particular character. One particular actor is struggling up the hill. And I don't know what the hell we're doing anymore. Every morning I wake up and I see the things happening, that politicians are trying to screw over people left and right. I'm seeing people that are struggling with their own things and their own creations, and whether or not they're going to get taxed out of their situations, whether or not they're going to get torched out of their situations, whether or not they're going to get hijacked out of their homes or on the street just because. It's not that easy talking about stuff like this. Or dealing with dogs who are dealing with their own mortality, struggling with another day to breathe and not deal with an ear infection. I feel like I am drawing last breath sometimes. With much apologies that the older generation I used to live in is dying and going away. And I have to face my own mortality one way or another, by seeing the new people coming in and pushing out the old people. But the old people no longer have it except just to be legendary in their own minds and their own statuses, and just stay there to be aging, rotting corpses. While the new generations have all the energy and seemingly talent, or something like that, to demonstrate and to showcase and maybe get immortalized on a street. I'm feeling my age, guys. I'm feeling the age of time. It's like I look at the other older generation laughing their heads off, and then sometimes gasping and choking until they're no longer here, mentioned as an obituary one way or another, and then the generation that came after them, mine, are having more and more issues. Some of them can actually get the new age, the new waves, the new stuff. I have been under the tutelage of the old, and it's hard to deal with what the new hip-hop is, what the new dance craze is, what the new beat is. And if I had grown up under this particular generation, maybe I would not have understood anything about what legacies actually meant, unless one had experienced a legacy and then truly understand what that meant. I can see all the new stuff that's being recycled left and right. I can see the people trying to strut around and show who and what they are. And I'll tell you one thing, sometimes the old folks have a hard time dealing with this because we wish we were that young ago to appreciate the youth, what we're seeing. But the problem is, this particular old fart, even though if I happen to see all the attractions of it all, that's all it is just veneer and porcelain. And it's old movie set on the outside with everything supposed to be, and yet on the inside it's rotting timbers and moldy stuff and crumbling infrastructures. That's how I'm feeling these days. The more I value sometimes the old stuff, as the more I'm valuing more and more of the dust and ashes I'm going to be turning into very shortly. Scattered about and forgotten like everything else. Maybe it should have to be this way. Legacies only live a short time, and then after that, if they're only remembered in print form, and that's about it, or not even that. But these days, I can't deal. I can't cope, and I'm having a hard time trying to function with this. These will want to get more and more of their attention. The older generations just want to record what they've got left and then leave it behind for maybe somebody to understand what's going on these days, because if not, I don't know what the hell we're doing anymore. I haven't got any legacy to leave behind. The only thing I got is my words and my voices. That's it. Voices on digital and the image of a scruffy looking nerf herder on video. All digitized in zeros and ones. Will they last forever? I'm not. I don't think I even want to deal with it. Am I afraid of what happens next when the mortal corpse dies? I'm still a bit peeved about it, and maybe not excited about the damn thing, that's for sure, but I've been there, didn't like the process. But some things you just have to deal with. Like I've been dealing with mine for a hell of a long while. This is not the last broadcast of me for today. This is not the last broadcast ever until it is. And then I gotta deal with that. And then the rest of the world will have to deal with it. I am dealing with the last of a legacy of a radio network that lasted for 100 years. I've got people doing tributes on online posting in articles to be read. But when it comes down for the corporation that managed it last, they just want them gone because of expediency, because of politics, because of personality, because of whatever they're making an excuse to kill off a legacy that was built over a century. I'm seeing too much of it. I'm seeing too much of legacies dying off that was built to last. We're supposed to be celebrating in July 4th the legacy of a country that lasted for 250 fucking years. And we can't even do that to ourselves. Oh no, we can't do it. Because we're tearing ourselves apart over the damn thing. Someone else's corporate greed and avarice and wanting everything destroyed everything that was built over 250 years. And now I gotta celebrate it? I gotta celebrate it with whatever kind of trinkets I get through other special markets over it. Weird ass shirts or silverware or cups to drink out of, to wear pins or a stuffed teddy bear. All to market an idea of a country that lasted 250 years, crashing and burning, or is it going to be on life support at this point? I can't even see that for KNX Radio. They're not even going to be on the life support. They're dead. They're gone. They're history. They left a legacy for us to follow and listen to, and yet we tossed it away in digital archives, hopefully never to be seen again by those who did want to hear and see it. because they were too controversial or they were something that pissed off a hell of a lot of people. They could have left a hell of a lot of legacy for people to follow. Could have been something. That's the bitch about being old. Getting older. Wanted to leave something behind, to leave something to be built upon instead of destroyed all the damn fucking time. Wiped out. Again, ego, greed, avarice, hubris, arrogance, ignorance, indifference. I can't stand it anymore. But I have to keep at this. I keep seeing what's happening these days, and I don't know what to say or do about it. Let the dog lie there and just moan and groan, and that's about it. I feel like you're taking the wounded dog and taking him out in the streets and letting him get run over and killed. That's the attitude. Attitude of dealing with the old and legacies. That's what's happening right now. The youth coddle the old. We always have, because we never had context. Now we got context. And now we're moaning and groaning because we try to relay that to the youth, and they don't want to know about it because they're not there. They don't have the context. But when they're there, they're going to hear our echoes in their heads. They're going to read about memories of the damn thing. They're going to have their own opinions. As the youth also plow over them and throw them into the streets. They get run over. We need progress. We want and demand progress. Some of us want it conservative. Keep with the old for a while. They'll throw politics into the game. They'll talk about this political party, that political party. This wants. And then I get to see reversals happening left and right. I read about them in books, but then to see the reversals happening in life, it's like, shit. I'm almost afraid of visiting the afterlife, you know? Is it going to be just trapped memories? Is it going to be something glorious to see? Or is it going to be an eternal nightmare to deal with? I don't know. I have to deal with what is right now. I have to deal with what's happening and how things Oh, how's this one? A House bill for permanent daylight savings time advances. They don't want the time changes anymore. We did the time-saving shifting because of energy crisis, and not to mention World War II. We wanted to keep things blacked out so the enemy bombers or fighters wouldn't come to our coastlines to give us hell. When certain times and conditions, wintertime comes, we fall back 1 hour. When spring comes and we have more daylight, we spring forward. Oh God, I had to screw this over one way or another. I'm getting too old for this so-called brave new world. As a youth, I had the youth has today. But these days I don't see it. I don't see it in their eyes. I don't see it in their eyes at all. I had it in a lot of youth. I'd seen it in everybody else's youthful eyes. The future, what they saw, what they wanted to create, what. Now it's like, what the hell did we do to ourselves? That's my story. I'm sticking to it. That being said,